It's spring. Every year you sing the same song, and every year I go through the same routine. Let me tell you about a few of the things I go through every spring. First, I have to check the inventory. Then I go over the spring checkup list, because I can't afford to neglect a customer's car, even if he can. My toughest job is to keep the old smile from slipping. For instance, when the customer comes in for his spring checkup, I suggest draining and discarding the old antifreeze and filling the radiator with water and a good rust inhibitor. When all of a sudden, the customer's an engineer who tells me, "I have a permanent antifreeze. Ethylene glycol, you know." Of course, I try to suggest subtly that he's mistaken. What he means is he has an all-winter antifreeze, because there's no such thing as a permanent antifreeze. Of course, if he means permanent, like his wife's permanent wave is permanent, okay. But the fact is, I have to explain that for summer driving, water plus anti-rust is the best coolant. He knows I'm right, but that doesn't mean he's ready to admit it. So he turns thrifty and asks me, "Laddie, you have a wee can to save the antifreeze in for next winter?" I tell him I wouldn't be doing him a favor, because the antifreeze contains a rust inhibitor. And when the antifreeze is first put in, the rust inhibitor is full of pep. It does a great job of preventing rust and does it for months on end. But when spring comes and you drain out that same antifreeze, the rust inhibitor is pretty old and beat. It'd be a mean trick to send him back into the game for another year. It's a mean trick on the customer, too, because antifreeze in a can is just a souvenir of the past winter and about as useful as your old license plates. It makes sense. But now he's got another idea. Why not add a little more rust inhibitor to the antifreeze? So now he's a chemist. And you have to explain you can't just dump in a rust inhibitor with the other elements of antifreeze and expect it to work. Why, it took a whole mess of top-flight chemists a long time to figure out how a rust inhibitor could best combine with antifreeze. It wasn't easy. It's a precise and carefully worked out formula. That's why any good anti-rust on the market will work in water. None of them work in old antifreeze. The only thing to do is to drain and discard your worn-out antifreeze. But now he'll get sharp. He thinks I'm telling him this just so I can sell him a complete antifreeze installation next year. Well, naturally, I'm not against making a profit. And one can of anti-rust in the spring doesn't put as much in the till as one anti-rust in the spring and 2 gallons of antifreeze in the fall. But even more than that, I'm interested in keeping satisfied customers, even this kind. If I don't tell him about replacing his antifreeze with water and a good anti-rust, and he runs into trouble, right away he turns into another character, Mr. District Attorney, and accuses me of neglecting his car. So on 2 counts, added profit and customer satisfaction, I gotta tell him the whole story. Who knows? He may even say, "Yes, go ahead." Though he may have some last-minute questions, which is his opportunity to become the learned professor and ask for my authority for all this. That part's easy. Everybody is on my side, including almost all auto manufacturers, the SAE, the National Bureau of Standards, and plenty of other outfits that can't afford to be wrong. So that's what spring means to me. My first customer for a spring checkup. Now let's see if I can remember everything. Drain and discard worn-out antifreeze. Fill with water and a good anti-rust. Don't save old antifreeze. The rust inhibitor wears out. New anti-rust won't work in old antifreeze. draining and discarding old antifreeze means more dealer profit and more satisfied customers. There's no such thing as a permanent antifreeze. Hello, Mr. Fletcher.
Hello, Bill. How about draining and discarding my antifreeze and putting in some rust inhibitor?